you want to let that all go for your mom? Your mom's not gonna hold you at night. Your mom is not gonna keep you warm at night. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that she would have had to go. Like, I would have let her go with the ease. Wait. Y'all see this? Y'all see this? I got my sweater blanket on. My glasses are on. You know what that means. It's time for Natchy Reads. So, So this past like 2 weeks, because I ate it up that quickly, I read Ties That Tether by Jane Igharo, and it was so good. Girl, I'm sorry if I got your last name wrong. Ties That Tether, I can't even, like, I'm gonna definitely have spoilers because I need you guys to read this book. By the first chapter, you'll be in 100%. The first page, you'll be in 100%. But for those of you that don't have it in your possession and are thinking about buying it, I'm gonna drop some spoilers, and I'm also gonna drop some gems because this book talks about everything. So the main character is Nigerian, I believe the author is as well, but as a Caribbean woman, as a woman, the daughter of a Jamaican mother, I 100% related to every single last bit of this book. Like, like, it is like, it's one of those books that like I was reading parts of it like this. Like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Cover artwork is beautiful. The back cover got me enticed, so I'll be sure to link that down below. I'm not gonna read it because I feel like that takes up a lot of time within the review itself, but I will be sure to link it below, as well as link her Goodreads below so that you can see where you can buy it at a place near you. Let's get into this review. So, I actually had to make notes. I usually don't make notes for my book reviews, but this one I had to make notes for because I didn't want to miss anything, and when I was done, it just kind of, it felt very complete. I really like the ending. I love how she did an epilogue, which is a spoiler, sorry. But I love that ending. I love the way that all the characters, like all their stories ended. I love that all their characters were true to their personality traits. I love the like premise of the novel. I love everything. Like, this is one of those books that when I was 3 chapters in, I was already telling people to read it because I could tell. Like, you just get the vibe. So yeah, I made notes because I really was like, I need to talk about all of it. So if today's long, I'm sorry, but we need to deep dive into every single aspect of it. We are going to be talking about mama drama, mother issues. I had that, I been had that, I still had that. We're gonna get into that. We're also gonna talk about interracial dating, which is obviously the premise of the novel itself. It's right there on the back cover. So we're gonna just dip our toes into that. I'm not in that situation, so I can't talk too much about it, but I can talk about my experiences in the past. We're also gonna talk about fake Christians and fake Christianity, a little bit of the cherry picking of the sins. We're gonna get into that today, as well as just navigating our 20s and growing up. Like, I think that that's a really important part of this book as well. So if you want to deep dive into any of those topics, then just keep watching. But before we get into it, please be sure that you are subscribed to me. It doesn't pay my bills yet, but it will one day. So hit that subscribe button and let's get into this video. Let's just go into some points really quickly about how I'm feeling about the novel overall. So let me just start off top by talking about the fact that Miss Jane knows how to build suspense. There were parts where I was reading this book and my heart was like beating, like palpitating. Like I thought I was going through it. Like, I might have had several strokes, several heart attacks. Like, I was like on standby. Come on, beep. Like, because I need to be resuscitated after some of the passages that she wrote in this book. Like, super well done for her. I believe this is her 2nd novel, and girl, you killed that. Like, you killed it. Number 1, you need to know that it's not going to be just your typical romance where you're like, oh my gosh, they fall in love, they have sex, it's beautiful, and it's great. There's actually like this huge element of suspense that she brings into it, which I love because I'm here for drama. I love drama. So to me, it was like I was watching it. It's another one of those novels that I'm calling it. It's going to be a show or a movie. I would love to see it as a like limited series. I think it would do really well week to week because of the way that she ends some of her chapters. Major cliffhangers. Like, you're like, you can't stop. Like, that's, I ate this up in less than a week. And for me, I work a full-time job. Keep that in mind. It's not like I'm just at home in quarantine. Less than a week, I have a full-time job. I'm running a YouTube channel. So it's not like let's be clear. I had things to do and I made time. Like, I ate this up. because you can't put it down at some points. Another point, I'm obsessed with Rafael. I love him. I'm in love with him. She wrote him so well. Like, you're reading this book and you're like, I'm his cariño. Like it's me. Like, he's talking about me. So I love the way she wrote him as well. So let's dive into mother issues now. So off top, Miss Azere's mom, Azere is the main character, is very traditional. She's a traditional Nigerian woman. She's also a widow. And Azere had made a promise to her dying dad that she would marry an Edo man, and, or is it Edo? Sorry, again, not Nigerian, but correct me. An Edo man, and her mom was very much so making sure that this happened. Like, she was setting her up on dates with not necessarily men that she clicked with, but it was like, as long as they were Edo, like, that's all that mattered. Like, what? Ma'am, people have to have compatibility, okay? But that was not the case. And then it got me thinking about the fact that, one, Azere and her mom don't start off bad. They're really good. They're very, very close. And I think that that was really true for me, specifically with my mother. When I was growing up, my mom was a single mother. Technically, that's Azere's situation. Her mom's raising her and her sister by herself. And I related to that as well. So me and my mom were super, super close when I was growing up. And then it was around like puberty times when like I was kind of like, I'm different. Like, me and my mom are very much so the same, very much so similar in so many aspects. But there is a generational gap. And I saw the same thing with Azere and her mother in Ties That Tether, which is, we love each other. We're very similar. You make me laugh. I love your company. But I'm growing up, in Azere's case, now growing up Canadian. So she's having to deal with that. She has to deal with, you know, not changing herself, but adjusting from growing up in Nigeria to moving to Canada at the age of 13. We backtrack there. And her identity as like, I want to be close to my mother, I want to honor my father's dying wish, but now I'm a grown woman, I'm 25, I live in Canada, and it's not necessarily going to be exactly how she wanted it to be at 13 when my dad passed away. So I totally relate with that. And then traditions in Black culture specifically, they tend to be very sacred, because when we were taken as slaves, a lot of our traditions were stripped from us, and a lot of, you know, North American influence was injected into what we should have been as like the Black slave. Like, we couldn't do the things that we used to do back home because we were oftentimes like punished. So I think that in the back of like Azere's mother's mind, like, I'm not saying that they were slaves at all. I'm saying that these are things that she considers when she comes to this country of Canada and she sees her daughter like changing. She doesn't want that to happen. She wants her to honor the traditions, because now you're in this foreign place. So even though they've been there for like over 10 years, she's like, I still want you to keep that alive. But I also think that in that generation specifically, they saw some of their parents go through some things. They saw like family friends go through some things in regards to slavery. So it wasn't that long ago. like let's be very clear. It wasn't that long ago. So it's very important that they keep these traditions alive a lot of the time, because that is the first thing that's in their mind, is that they saw white people do some fucked up shit. Let's be very clear. I think that that's part of it. And I think that that's why they hold things like the traditions, the cultures, even religion so sacred, because they don't want any more outside forces to change what Black people have become. Then specifically when it comes to, you know, let's just segue into interracial dating when you're coming from a traditional family, that's difficult, because like I remember from high school specifically, like my mom was like I was dating a white guy for all of 10 minutes. Like, it wasn't a long time, but my mom was literally like, do not bring him home. Like, it was not happening. And I don't know that I can blame her, like, because of what she's seen and because of what she had gone through, you know, as a child, seeing her grandparents, seeing a whole bunch of stuff happen at a young age. It definitely could have been triggering to see your child bring home a quote unquote colonizer home. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you've gone through something traumatic when it comes to white people, I can imagine that it'd be difficult for you to see your kid then bring a white person home. So it's things like that that I think made it difficult for Azere to even open up to Rafael and open up to the concept of him. And I think that at the same time, for her to let herself go that quickly, because it happens straight out the chapter. They have their one night stand in the first chapter, so I'm not really spoiling much. You just need to pick up the book and read it, okay? So I think that when she was even in that moment of like considering and just being attracted to him, I think that that was the first time in her life that she acknowledged that that is what she wanted, you know? Like, it's always been there. She's been in Canada for a couple years, but none of these like Nigerian men were fitting. None of them were clicking. But the first white man you see, like you let it go for it, there's a reason for that, because it's underlying in there. Like it's something that she's been suppressing for so long. And everyone has a type, and I'm not saying her type was specifically white men, but that there has to be something said for the fact that the first white man she saw was just like perfect enough to just let it all go, you know? Like she knew, she had that feeling in her heart of hearts that it was like, this is what I really wanted. And that's why she pushed him away so hard, because immediately that complicates her whole entire life. Her whole entire being is now more complex because she's acknowledging that she's interested in someone who's not from her culture. Azere as a main character though, honestly annoys the hell out of me, because I went through the whole, you know, mother-daughter issues, separating from my mother, standing up to my mother relatively young. So for me to now be I'm gonna be 28 next month, damn. So for me to now be a 28-year-old woman and like read a book about, I believe she's 25, the main character, to read a book about someone who just doesn't have like the oomph, the chutzpah to be like, mom, yo, fuck you. Like, okay, not like that, but like, mind your business, like mind your business. Like the fact that she couldn't even do that in that moment of like realizing that this was what she wanted, that was a problem for me. Like her character was like, I was like, girl, like stop it, like stop doing this, because she was living so much for her mother. And okay, spoiler alert, I'm about to spoil some stuff. When she finds out she's pregnant with Rafael's child from a one-night stand, I mean, girl, and then realizing that you guys are still connected. He now, again, another spoiler alert, he now works in your office. Like that is all fate. Like that is all fate driven. The first white man that you have sex with, you have a baby by, and on top of it, you are extremely attracted to, and you guys have good relations after the fact, like a good chemistry. You want to let that all go for your mom? Your mom's not gonna hold you at night. Your mom is not gonna keep you warm at night. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that she would have had to go. Like, I would have let her go with the ease. I'm big on like soulmates. I'm big on energy. I'm big on all that stuff. So to me, the minute I knew she was pregnant, I'm like, girl, you have to like set your mother straight. Obviously the book would have been done in like 5 chapters. So we go along with the whole, I'm not gonna tell my mom. She's not gonna know anything for a minute. But it kills me. Like, I'm like, you need to say, like, I was getting angry at some points because I'm like, this has me hot. Like, I cannot understand how this girl at 25 who is doing well for herself, lives on her own, is successful, cannot tell her mom to like, back up, get your own sandwich. It was really crazy to me. So now that brings me to my next point, cherry picking sins and Christianity and fake Christians. And I know that those are all loaded statements, but specifically when it comes to Azere's mom, ain't nobody telling there's lipsticks on my teeth. So specifically when it comes to Azere's mom, because at the end, there's a huge shocker when we find out something about Azere's mom. And that made me immediately think about cherry picking sins, because Azere's mom at first wasn't okay with the fact that Azere wasn't a virgin when it came to Azere sleeping with Rafael. But the minute she found out that it was a Nigerian boy that took her virginity at church camp, it was fine. It was cool. It was all good. Like, what? How does that even make sense? And then on top of it, to find out that she had a problem with premarital sex. Obviously, that's a big thing in Christianity. But when Azere's mom had her little shocker at the end, it was fine because she's a widower. Like, no, girl, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm 100% convinced that her mother is possessed, like possessed by the devil. Like, I'm reading this book and I'm like, Christian, my ass, you are damn possessed. Like, I can't stand that shit. That's a lot of the reason that I specifically, whoa, my nostrils are flared, Ric Flair. That's a lot of the reason why I specifically have a hard time finding a congregation that sits well with me, finding a church that sits well with me, because there's a lot of fake nonsense that people do. There's a lot of cherry picking of what sins are okay versus what sins are not. And everyone makes mistakes. I'm not saying you need to be the perfect Christian. I'm saying if you are preaching that loudly and saying to everybody else that this is incorrect, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, but for you to then turn around and be okay with certain things, that is not Christian. That is not Christianity, and that's a problem. Like, to me, like, it gets me hot every time because I'm like, no, you guys can't be doing that. If you're gonna be that kind of Christian, then you just need to be mute, shut up. Like you cannot be that loud about Christianity when you are doing certain things that aren't Christian. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. And to me, it seems phony. So let me just take my Bible, read it, and pray to God, and me and him will have our own special bond. I don't need to be in church with people like that. Like, you know what I mean? Because that really, like, honestly and truly, it gets me hot. It gets me super heated when I see stuff like that. And Azere's mom specifically made me mad, because especially at the end, guys, like, I'm not even gonna spoil that, because you need to read the book. Like, you need to read the book to find out what this woman did, and you will, like, I threw it. She really put Azere through a whole entire book, a whole 300 pages of like stress, like a whole bunch of crap. And you did that in the end. Like, I was like, bury me, because it was wrong. It was dead wrong. And I could, let me move on, because we could be here all day. Like, and again, I'm trying not to spoil things, because I want you to read the book, and the whole pregnancy thing gets announced relatively early, so it's not a big spoiler. But yeah, let's move on. So at the end of the book, Azere, you kind of notice that she's grown. Like, she's grown a little bit, because obviously, like, given the premise of the book and knowing how stories arcs go, you know she has to stand up to her mother at one point or another, right? At that moment, I was like, I literally gasped. Like, I was screaming, I clapped. I was like, yes, girl, you do that. And I think that that's a lot of what our 20s are, is it's us finding out who we are, what we want, and then kind of telling everybody else, these are my boundaries with it. Like, you and I don't have to agree on this, because you had me, you birthed me, you raised me, and now I'm my own person and I came to this decision. You need to be okay with that. The problem with growing up, and especially growing up under Christianity and Christian parents, is that, and my friend Kanisha described this in the best way, and I'll never forget this conversation I had with her. She said the problem with Christian parents, or not the problem, Christian parents do what they do out of fear. They do what they do, and they raise you, and they try to steer you in the best direction and on the best path, because in their mind, they're just trying to prevent you from going to hell. And if there was something that you could do to stop your child from going to hell, would you not do it? And once I heard that, I kind of definitely understood where parents like Azere's came from, where my mother came from. And it's like, they just want the best for you. However, like, that being said, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's relationship with God is different. And I think that that is where parents need to understand that if your child is now setting boundaries in their life, you need to let go and let God. All you can do is pray for them. And why would you not pray for them? Like, you know what I mean? They're your kid. And if you care about covering them under the blood, and you care about their journey and their growth, then what else can you do? You cannot live their life for them. You can only live your life as the best. Again, bringing it back to Christianity and what I have a problem with, you can only live your life as best as you can. You cannot worry about me. You could give me the tools, and that's that. You know what I mean? Like, as long as I'm not a murderer, I think I'll be okay. Like, that's just me personally, you know? But again, I don't have kids, so I guess I'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that was really what makes it hard, and almost what stifles the growth of kids under Christianity, in my opinion, is that their parents are trying so hard to, like, not let them fail. Like, it's like you can't make any mistakes, and it's like, that's just not realistic. It really isn't. Everyone's gonna make mistakes. Everyone's not necessarily going to agree. Everybody's different. So you kind of have to just take that as it is, you know, grow up and do your own thing, which, again, by the end of the book, Azere's mom was sure as hell doing, so I don't understand why she was trying to stop her daughter from... Anyways, don't get me mad again. So I'm really not gonna talk about it anymore. I feel like I covered enough to get you guys to read it. I feel like you know the main themes, the main concepts, but if you need a good book to read, Jane Igharo's Ties That Tether is the next one. I have a friend who's texting me as she reads it, and like, she got it yesterday and she's already like chapter 4, chapter 5. Like it's that book. It's that book that you need right now, especially like in winter, in the pandemic, to cuddle up with a nice, good book. Wonderful. A+, 10 out of 10, 5 stars out of 5 stars, 100% a good book that like you will eat up. I promise you. And on that note, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything I did today, anything I said, because I know I go off at the mouth, but whatever. Comment down below if you have any questions about that. And as always, subscribe to me. It doesn't pay my bills yet, but it will one day. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.